Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have a very exciting video because today I get to show you my brand new ARC Series rack from Surplus Strength. So the actual history of me with this rack and with Surplus Strength goes all the way back to March of 21 when I arrived in Ohio and I reached out to Jason inquiring as to, everything that he kind of thought about the UPS system. I intended on purchasing a UPS high and low system to review on this channel, and I basically got a whole lot more than I wasn't initially planning on getting from Surplus Strength. Now, when I had arrived back in Ohio, I had planned on upgrading to a rack that had 1-inch hardware, but I guess that I just wasn't expecting Jason to basically bring up passively in conversation that he was looking at getting into power racks and was curious if I was interested in jumping on board. Of course I was, because he basically checks the box for everything that I value as far as like a company goes. So he's veteran owned, American manufactured, he pays really close attention to detail, and he also cares about the customer experience. So without hesitation and really me kind of asking to get on board, I was able to jump in line, and I was actually the very first of so far 7 power racks that are going to be coming to market soon. Now, just as a note, for those of you that may be in the market for a 1-inch hardware power rack, and you maybe want something different, maybe something a little bit more custom, something that's not offered by the big brand names, reach out to Jason at Surplus Strength, and he will definitely take care of you and get you quoted out. I'll leave his contact information down below if that's something that actually interests you. So what I want to do in this video is I basically want to cover this rack. I'm going to basically cover it from the top down. There's going to be a lot of B-roll and a lot of close-up video, and this is not an opinionated video. This is not a review. This is just me showing you my brand new shiny thing. So starting up at the top, basically what we have is a red crossmember, and that red main crossmember nameplate carries not the Surplus Strength logo, but my actual gym logo, which is super cool because when I was talking to Jason, his literal words in our conversation were, I don't want to make a Surplus Strength rack, I want to make you a Kurt Locker rack. And definitely nailed it. I didn't want anything that was sophisticated. I just wanted a simple logo. I wanted it offset. He nailed it with the CAD design and nailed it in execution as well. Not only does it carry the logo on the front side, but it also carries the logo on the back side for if I ever want to maybe expand the gym and have some area behind where you might be able to look up and see the logo. Now, like I said, everything on this rack is custom. That includes all of the color choices. So that top red was a custom color choice. I was sent a website of all the different available options, and there were tons of options, and I got to pick my specific powder coat color I wanted. His powder coater nailed it, and that gloss finish looks really good. It is black uprights, and all of the numbering starts at the bottom and works its way up and goes all the way from 1 to 40. 2-inch hole spacing, 1-inch hardware, and I actually really do like that he went with a different font. They actually had to go and redo some of the numbers in that font to actually make them cuttable, just kind of a little gee whiz thing, but he wanted that font so badly, he was willing to go in and redesign some of the numbers so that it would work with this rack. I wanted to back up just a second. I want to talk about the hardware and basically the 1-inch bolt and nut situation that we have going here. So what you have on almost every single piece is you have a nut that is welded to a crossmember. What this does, it actually makes it easier for you when you're putting this rack together. You don't have to have this whole setup. You just have to have a bolt with a washer. You put it through the hole, you thread it right in. Don't have to worry about having the nut ready on the other side. That's a really big benefit when you're putting this together. And this thing, for how big it is, it's a 100-inch tall rack, went together really fast with all of the horizontal cross members as well as all the vertical cross members. 4-way holes, basically holes on each side, do exist. Additionally, all the nuts come welded onto the units. The only place where they're not welded on is actually on the nameplate cross member that has the Kurt Locker logo. And the reason is because there is a slot cut, just in case the holes don't line up based on where you want that banner to be. So if you wanted it to be a little bit higher, you can actually mount it a little bit higher. If you want it to be lower, same thing. One other thing that Jason and crew did over at Surplus Strength is they did what they called installation knobs. Now, these installation knobs exist on almost all of the horizontal cross members, and what they do is it offers you a third point that it actually goes through the vertical upright when you build the rack. The installation knob, though, is built in, is actually welded on. I'll show you some close-ups so that you can get a better idea, but with these in place, it makes assembly so much easier because basically as long as you have those two held together, it will stay and hold in the hole so that you can get the bolt through and thread it. Just one of those little things that sets Surplus Strength Arc Series racks apart from maybe the Monster Series or Soranex or some of the rep ones that you see. So now that we've talked about basically the horizontal cross members going around the top, as well as the nameplate, the welded nuts, and the installation nubs, I want to talk to you now about the UPS high pulley that I have permanently bolted to the top upright above my banner. The reason I put it here is because I wanted to be able to utilize the interior portion of the rack for when I was doing my cable tight movements. In order to get it off the wall enough that I had free clearance for a standard size plate, I did have to pull it 29 inches off the wall, which is not that far, and it's actually about where I was estimating it would be anyways. Now, Jason did do me a solid, and I didn't ask him to do this, but when I purchased my rack, I got this beautiful powder coat on the vertical uprights. It's called Body Armor, and it's like a flat textured black, except for it's just different, and I really don't know how to explain it because it's just kind of different. So imagine like a textured black powder coat that doesn't feel like it's just gonna wear off all the time. But Jason was able to match that powder coat, that Body Armor powder coat that I have on the uprights, to the UPS high and low system, and it looks really good. I love it. And I'm really excited to see the resiliency of this powder coat. With a name like Body Armor, it makes you think it's gonna be kind of bulletproof. That brings us to the first set of accessories, and the first thing that we have is a Surplus Strength J-Cup. Now, I can tell you that this is the first time I have ever had a large J-Cup in my garage gym, and Jason did not disappoint. This thing is huge. All of the attachments for the rack are made out of 1/4-inch steel, and all these get laser cut with really nice thick UHMW pieces, and it just looks attractive, looks really well put together. Plus, it's powder coated the same color that I wanted all my other accessories. I would imagine that this is something that you could custom, so if you wanted your J-Cups to be a different color, this is something that he would probably be able to do for you. Working our way down from there, we have the drop-in safeties. So these drop-in safeties are a little bit different. They actually have a very high tolerance. So there's a very low tolerance. Is it high tolerance? Basically, these things are fitted extremely well. Most drop-in safeties have, like that 1/2 inch to full inch of, we'll call it slop. And what that does is it allows the manufacturer to kind of be a little bit less precise. At the current moment, they don't come equipped with a pin. However, that is something that Jason did talk about as a potential later thing to expand on. And he also kind of hinted that he may be expanding on different attachment options to include maybe some dip attachments that utilize the flip down safeties. I also have a set of safety spotter arms. Now, these safety spotter arms are beefy, again, made out of that 1/4-inch steel for the gusset. It has a nice Surplus Strength logo cut into it. And one of the cool things about a Surplus Strength logo is that no matter which way you look at it, it still says Surplus Strength the exact way it's meant to be read. Nothing annoys me more. Well, that's not true, but some things annoy me a lot. And one of those things that kind of just gets to me every once in a while is when you're on the wrong side of a Titan or a Rogue safety spotter arm, and it says Rogue backwards or Titan backwards. That does bring us down to basically the horizontal cross members at the bottom, as well as the plate storage that I have on the rack. Now, the plate storage pins are from Rogue Fitness. They're a Rogue Fitness pin, and what Jason told me is basically he can't even begin to manufacture these at the price that they sell them for. So for the moment, he's just buying them from Rogue. They're a solid pin anyways, and I love the design. The horizontal cross members at the bottom are painted red, just like the ones at the top. It really makes the rack kind of pop. And they also come with the welded nuts as well as the installation nubs, whatever we're going to call them, installed into them. So assembly is a breeze. This thing is bolted through my platform and into the concrete using 1/2-inch lag anchors. It is not going anywhere. It's definitely solid, and I'm super excited to give it some use and get you guys reviews on the backside. So now that we've talked about the ARC Series Power Rack, I wanted to talk to you guys for a little bit about the ARC Series Mass Storage System. This thing is probably the most overbuilt, most over-engineered, rock steady, awesome storage unit that you've ever seen. Even fully loaded with all of this stuff on it, it barely moves when I jump on it, when I do whatever. I even attached my safety spotter arms to this and jumped on the end of the safety spotter arms, and this thing did not budge an inch. Basically, the design uses these 2-inch rods that go from one side all the way to the other. Mine is actually 6 feet long, and inside of the end of each one of these tubes, there is a welded nut. On the back side is where the bolt goes, so installation is a breeze because you just put it through, hammer away with a hammer drill, and the whole thing tightens right up. If you're using it for plate storage, you'll just use the 2 pins, and if you want to use tabletop storage that's level, you basically position the shelf so that the lip is on the back side of the shelf, and it is a no lip on the front. The lip obviously faces down. If you want to switch that around to store dumbbells, all you have to do is pull it off, move one of the edges up, and you can angle the shelf, and it will have a lip to catch the dumbbells for any sort of dumbbell storage. It is really cool because these things store a ton. The amount of width you get is huge. I'm going to measure it. So you actually get about 19.5 inches of storable storage space, which means that you can stack 3 large size kettlebells nut to butt going all the way back, and they all fit on the shelf just fine. Additionally, I can store my circus dumbbells laying down, and although my 10-inch one does stick out just a little bit, my 12-inch one sticks out a little bit more. They both nicely fit on the shelf, and they just look good in this configuration, not taking up much space. The uprights on this are the same red that my horizontal cross members are made out of. They are actually numbered. It goes from 1 to 30, and it's 2 inches on center, 1-inch hardware. And because it's so heavy duty, you can actually use it like I have here for landmine use. If you have a dip attachment, you can throw it on there. It's 4-way holes going all the way around. In addition to that, you also have these holes over here on the side, and with the holes on the side, you're able to do any sort of vertical pin storage that you might want to do in your garage gym. Now, I'm still moving into this storage unit, so some of these things are just holding like bands until I figure out what system I'm going to use to store those bands. But I can tell you right now that I'm not going to be lacking in storage very much because this thing is heavy duty, it can hold a lot, it doesn't take that big of a footprint up, and it is just solid. So that's it for today's video. Really just kind of showing you guys the Surplus Strength ARC series, taking you through my gym layout, and giving you guys an idea of what you can look forward to as far as reviews come from Surplus Strength. That's it for today's video though. I appreciate you guys watching every single time. And remember, when it comes to your garage gym, you should always make it better, awesome, and of course, badass. I'll see you guys next time.